throwaway because my main has family on it, and I'm not ready for this to be public. I'm a 34M. My wife is 32F. We've been together for 9 years, married for 5, no kids. Up until a few months ago, if you'd asked me to describe our relationship, I would have said, kinda boring but safe. We weren't that passionate, crazy in love couple anymore, but we were solid. Or at least I thought so. We met in college. She was loud, sarcastic, always roasting people. The kind of girl who made a room feel louder as soon as she walked in. I'm the opposite, quiet, more of a observe first, talk later guy. Somehow it worked. She liked to joke that I was her emotional support introvert. I always knew she had a bit of a sharp edge. She could be bitchy sometimes, especially if she was tired or stressed, but it was mostly in a joking, sassy way back then. Lately, not so much. When things started feeling off. If I had to pick a moment where I felt the first real crack, it would be about 6 months ago. She started a new job at a marketing agency. Long hours, young team, lots of we're like a family here energy. At first, I was genuinely happy for her. She'd been stuck in a dead-end admin job, and this was a big step up. Better pay, more creative work, the whole thing. The late nights started slowly. First it was, hey, I'll be home around 7, we're finishing up a pitch. Then it became stay till 8. Then 9. Then, don't wait up, we're going out for drinks as a team, it's networking. I remember the first time I said something about it. It was a Tuesday, and she came home at 11:30 p.m., heels in her hand, smelling like cigarettes, and some perfume that wasn't hers. I tried to keep it light. Hey, long night? She rolled her eyes and dropped her bag on the chair. We had a client dinner. Relax. Not everything is some big deal. I hadn't even said it. Was a big deal. But that was the vibe. Me mentioning anything. Me being dramatic. The phone that suddenly became Fort Knox. Before this job, her phone used to just lie around. Face up on the couch, plugged in on the kitchen counter, whatever. She'd ask me to answer her mom's texts if she was in the shower. It wasn't a thing. Then, one day, it became a thing. I noticed it first when we were watching Netflix. Her phone lit up on the coffee table. She grabbed it so fast it was almost funny, turned the screen away from me, typed something, and placed it face down. I joked, "Oh, we're doing the secret agent phone thing now?" Without missing a beat, she shot back, "It's called privacy. You should try it." That stung more than I expected. It wasn't just what she said, it was the tone. That cold, dismissive edge, like I was some clingy idiot for noticing completely obvious behavior. After that, the phone was always face down. She started taking it with her to the bathroom. She'd get a notification, glance at me, then tilt the screen away. If I even looked in the direction of the phone, she'd move it. I'm not a paranoid person by default. I've never gone through a partner's phone in my life. But my brain started doing this thing, where it was filling in the blanks with worst-case scenarios. And every time I tried to talk to her about it, she'd twist it, so I felt like I was crazy. The personality switch. The real red flag wasn't just the phone or the late nights. It was her attitude toward me. She used to ask how my day was, even if she didn't really care about my rambling IT stories. We'd sit at the table, eat something I'd cooked, and she'd complain about coworkers and laugh at her own jokes. It felt normal, familiar. Then it became different. She started acting annoyed by my existence. If I asked, "What time will you be home?" she'd huff and go, "God, I don't know. I'm not a clock. Why do you need to control everything I do?" If I said, "Can we have dinner together one night this week?" she'd say, "I'm sorry my career is such an inconvenience for you." If I tried to hug her when she walked in the door, sometimes she'd stiffen up or say, "I'm sweaty. Can you just—" "Not right now." That "right now" turned into "later," which turned into "I'm tired," which turned into basically nothing. Sex went from a few times a week to once every couple of weeks if she was in the mood, to "I'm too stressed. You don't get it." When I did bring up intimacy, she'd roll her eyes and say something like, "Of course, it always comes back to sex with you." For the record, it really doesn't. I just wanted to feel like her husband, not some roommate who pays half the bills. You're making problems where there aren't any. I tried to convince myself this was just an adjustment period. New job, new stress, blah blah. That's what you're supposed to tell yourself, right? Don't jump to conclusions. Be supportive. Be understanding. So I did that. I cooked more. I cleaned more. I told her I was proud of her. I told her to go out and enjoy herself with coworkers because I didn't want to be the controlling husband stereotype. But every time I gently brought up how distant she seemed, it turned into a fight. Me. "Hey, I feel like we barely talk anymore." Her. "We literally live together. How much more together do you need to be?" Me. "That's not what I mean. You're on your phone the whole time, and when I ask about your day, you just say, 'It was fine.'" Her. "I'm exhausted, okay? I don't have energy to give you some Disney monologue about my day. You're overthinking everything." Me. "I'm not overthinking. I just miss you." Her. Scoffs. "You're making problems where there aren't any. Maybe if you stopped obsessing over every little thing, things would feel normal." And that was the pattern. I'd bring up something specific. She'd either deny it, minimize it, or flip it back on me. I started second-guessing myself constantly. Toward the new friend from work. Then came the infamous name, Liam. Not his real name. At first he was just this guy at work in her stories. Oh my God, this guy Liam in my team is such an idiot. He spilled coffee all over the presentation. Then, Liam and I are stuck fixing the client deck, so I'll be late. Then, I'm grabbing drinks with the team. Yeah, Liam will be there. He's actually not that bad once you get to know him. Each time I heard his name, something in my stomach tightened. I couldn't explain it. It wasn't anything concrete, just a feeling, like the way she said his name had. Energy. I finally asked casually, "So, is Liam the work bestie now?" She smirked and said, "Please, he wishes. He's just fun to mess with. Don't be weird." But then she started dropping his name more and more. Memes from Liam. Inside jokes about, you had to be there. She'd be grinning at her phone, and when I asked what was funny, she'd shrug and say, "Work stuff, you wouldn't get it." I think that's when the denial really started to crack. I caught myself timing how long she was on her phone, listening for how often she typed, counting how many nights in a row she came home late. And every time, the same script. "Where were you?" "At work." "God, you're so paranoid." "Why didn't you answer my text?" "I was busy. Sorry I wasn't glued to my phone for you." "Were you with Liam?" "Why are you so obsessed with him? Do you have a crush on him or something?" She'd say it with this mocking laugh that made me feel stupid for even asking. But she never actually said. No. It was always deflection, sarcasm, attitude. The moment I knew something was really wrong. The night that really sticks in my head happened about 2 months ago. She said she had a team building night and would probably stay late at the office. I offered to pick her up so she wouldn't have to Uber. She immediately shot it down. "No, that's weird. Nobody else is getting picked up by their husband. I'll just call a car." I let it go, but something in me finally clicked out of the give benefit of the doubt mode. I couldn't shake this cold, heavy feeling that I was being kept at a distance on purpose. I remember standing in the kitchen that night, staring at her empty wine glass from the night before and thinking, if she is cheating, I'm the last person in this marriage to know. At that point, I still didn't have proof, just a gut screaming at me that something was very, very wrong. So yeah, that team-building night where I wasn't allowed to pick her up, that's where everything really started to unravel. The lie that was almost too obvious. She left the house around 6 p.m. in this tight black dress I'd never seen before, with heels she usually saved for special occasions. I remember standing in the hallway watching her put on lipstick in the mirror. "Wow," I said, half admiring, half confused. "You need to dress like that for a team building in the office?" She didn't even look at me. "There's a client there too. We want to make a good impression." "Right," I said. "You look really good." She finally glanced at me in the mirror and gave me this fake little smile. "Don't wait up. Bye." No kiss, just grabbed her bag and left. I stood there for a full minute after the door closed, staring at the empty hallway, thinking, she dressed like that for somebody, and I'm not the target audience. She's lying, man. I have a friend, Mark, who's basically my emotional support idiot. We game together, send each other dumb memes, that sort of thing. He's also the one person who's seen all the changes and hasn't sugarcoated anything. I messaged him. She went to team building in a little black dress and told me not to pick her up. He replied almost instantly, "Yeah, she's lying, man." I called him. Me. "You don't even know that." Mark. "Dude, come on. You've been telling me for months how she's acting. If this was a random Reddit post you were reading, what would you say?" I hated that he was right. He paused for a second and then said, "Look, if you really think something is off, stop guessing. Get proof, or you're gonna drive yourself insane thinking in circles." I'd always considered checking someone's phone or following them around as a line I didn't want to cross. It felt wrong, creepy, controlling. But at that moment, it hit me. She'd already crossed a line. I was just pretending the line still meant something. La Mafre, the app that changed everything. Here's where the first sudden event hits. Earlier that week, she'd been freaking out about her work email not syncing on her phone, and she asked me to help. I do IT, so I set up some stuff on her phone and logged into our shared Google account to back up a few things. I thought nothing of it at the time. Married couples help each other with tech stuff, right? What I didn't realize then was that her phone's location history and some app data had synced to our shared account. That night, something told me to grab my laptop and open Google Maps. I clicked on Timeline, selected today's date. My heart started pounding. Instead of seeing a little red line going from our house to her office, there was a different route. House, office, some restaurant downtown, a hotel. A hotel. I zoomed in. It wasn't some conference center or big corporate hotel either. It was one of those boutique places that people go to when they want something discreet. For a second, I honestly thought it had to be a glitch. Maybe her phone was in a friend's bag. Maybe it was a GPS error. My brain was scrambling, trying to find any explanation that wasn't the obvious one. Then the little line moved from the hotel to a nearby bar, and back to the hotel again an hour later. I stared at the screen so long, my vision went blurry. The Uber receipt. Still in denial, I opened our shared email to see if there were any Uber receipts. She usually used her work card, but thought maybe tonight she didn't. Sure enough, there it was. Your Uber ride is complete. Pick up. Our home address. Drop off. The hotel dash time, 6:47 p.m. No office, no team building. Just a straight shot from our front door to that hotel. I felt something inside me crack. Not a dramatic shattering. More like a slow, horrible splitting. Half of me was screaming, "There it is! You finally know." The other half was still begging. There has to be another explanation. I checked the time. It was a little past 9 p.m. According to the location timeline, Her phone was still at the hotel. I could have gone there. I could have walked into the lobby, taken the elevator, and started knocking on doors like a maniac. But I didn't. Instead, I just sat there at the kitchen table, staring at the cold leftovers I'd made for us, feeling empty. Not even angry yet. Just hollow. The first big lie to my face. She came home around midnight. I heard the key in the lock, the door opening quietly, like she was trying not to wake me. Joke was on her, because I was sitting right there on the couch like some cursed NPC, staring at the wall. She jumped a little when she saw me. "Oh, you're still up." "Yeah," I said. "How was team building?" She dropped her bag by the door and stretched theatrically. "Exhausting. We got so much done, though. You have no idea how intense this project is." My heart was pounding, but I forced my voice to sound normal. "Were you at the office the whole time?" She didn't even blink. "Obviously. Where else would I be?" That sentence felt like someone held my head underwater. "Interesting," I said, still trying to keep my tone flat. "Because your phone's location says you went to hotel name, and your Uber receipt confirms it." For the first time in months, I saw her completely lose her composure. Her face went pale, then red, then sharp. "What the hell, are you tracking me?" she snapped. I laughed, but it came out sounding broken. "You asked me to fix your phone, remember? It's synced with our account. I didn't even know until today. So, you want to try that again? Where were you?" She crossed her arms, going straight into defensive mode. "I can't believe you're spying on me. That's sick. Answer the question." She looked me dead in the eyes and said, "I was at a client meeting. The hotel has conference rooms. We were in one of those. You seriously think I'd be stupid enough to cheat in a place that leaves a digital trail?" I just stared at her. "Your Uber went from here to the hotel. No office, no team building at work, just the hotel. Then your phone stayed there for hours, then a bar, then back to the hotel, then home. Do you want to keep lying, or—" She didn't budge. "You're overreacting. We had drinks after the meeting. It ran late. There were a bunch of us. Why are you turning this into something it's not?" The gaslighting was so immediate and so brazen that I felt physically dizzy. She was caught, and her first instinct was not to explain, not to apologize, but to double down and make me feel insane. The name that confirmed everything. I don't know what possessed me, but I said, "Was Liam there?" She flinched. It was small, but I saw it. Then she rolled her eyes and added this extra layer of attitude. "Oh my God, are we back to your weird obsession with Liam?" Yes, he was there. So were other people. You sound pathetic right now. I ignored the insult. "Did you share a hotel room with him?" She actually laughed. "That's ridiculous." "No. We had a late meeting. We had drinks. Everyone went home. End of story. You're really embarrassing yourself with this jealousy." Notice how she didn't say where she slept. Just everyone went home. Vague, evasive. I said quietly, "I don't believe you." She shrugged, walked past me into the bedroom, and said over her shoulder, "That's your problem, not mine." Like she hadn't just detonated my entire sense of reality. When the universe decides to drop receipts. Here's where the second sudden event hits. The next morning, she left early, barely saying goodbye. I was still in shock, but that shock had turned into this slow, simmering rage. I sat down at my computer again, determined to see if there was more. If I'd already crossed the line by checking last night, I might as well stop pretending and actually look. I opened our cloud storage where her phone had auto-backed up some stuff. Most of it was boring screenshots, random photos, whatever. Then I saw a folder labeled WhatsApp Images. Inside was a subfolder with yesterday's date. My chest tightened. I clicked it. There, in full color, no room for interpretation. was a selfie of my wife in that same black dress from last night. Only now she was in a dimly lit hotel room, hair down, glass of wine in hand, half smirking at the camera. And behind her, blurred but clearly there, was a shirtless guy on the bed. I didn't even need to see his face. I recognized the tattoo on his arm. I'd seen it in a group photo from her team outing. It was Liam. My hands actually started shaking. There were more photos. Her feet tangled with his on the bed. A close-up of 2 wine glasses clinking. A picture of him kissing her neck. Half her face in the frame, eyes closed, smiling. You know that feeling when your stomach drops on a roller coaster? Multiply it by 1,000 and make it last for minutes. That was me. No more maybe. No more am I crazy. No more gaslighting. Just cold, brutal proof. My wife wasn't just tired. She wasn't just stressed from work. She wasn't just networking. She was cheating on me. Boldly. Repeatedly. And then looking me in the eye and telling me I was paranoid for noticing. That was the moment something inside me finally snapped into focus. So yeah, I'm sitting there staring at these pictures of my wife in a hotel room with a half-naked coworker, and it's like my brain is running in 2 tabs. Tab 1. This is real. This is happening. She's cheating on you. Tab 2. Maybe there's some insane explanation where this is all a misunderstanding. Spoiler, there wasn't. Saving the evidence. First thing I did was email all the photos to myself and save them to a USB. Paranoid? Maybe. But after the amount of lying she'd already done, I didn't trust her not to lose her phone or magically factory reset it the second she realized she was cornered. I also screenshotted the Google Maps timeline, the Uber receipt, everything. It felt disgusting and cold, like I was building a case against someone I loved. But at that point, it was survival mode. I needed to know that even if she twisted everything later, I'd still have the truth somewhere. I didn't confront her right away. I spent the whole day in this weird, numb autopilot, brushed my teeth, answered emails, pretended to work. Every few minutes, my brain would just replay that photo of her with him on the bed, like a loop I couldn't exit. Turam, the calm before the explosion. She texted me around lunchtime. WFH today, right? Can you defrost the chicken for dinner? The heart really got me. I stared at that little red emoji for a full minute, feeling physically sick. I typed back, sure. Nothing else. She didn't notice anything was off, apparently, because she replied, thanks, babe. You're the best. The mental whiplash of reading babe, and you're the best, from someone I now knew had spent last night wrapped around another guy. I don't even have words for that. Setting the stage. I decided I wanted to see her lie to my face one more time. Knowing I had proof, not because I enjoy pain, but because I needed to watch her do it. I needed to know who I'd really been married to. So I waited. She came home at her usual late but not suspiciously late time, around 7:30 p.m. Jeans, sweater, hair in a loose bun. Very chill wife who definitely didn't commit adultery in a hotel yesterday. Vibes. Hey, she said, dropping her keys in the bowl. Did you defrost the chicken? I was sitting at the table with my laptop open, USB beside it like a tiny loaded gun. Yeah, I said. We need to talk first, though. She sighed and rolled her eyes like I'd just told her we had to discuss my feelings about a movie. Oh my God, what now? The last attempt at a lie. I turned the laptop toward her. On the screen, her selfie in the hotel room, wine glass in hand. Liam blurred in the background on the bed. Her whole body froze. I watched the exact moment her face went from annoyed wife to oh shit. It was like a shutter dropping behind her eyes. She recovered fast. What the hell? Why do you have that? She snapped. I kept my voice low, calm, scarily calm. Your phone backed up automatically, to our account. I found it this morning. She stared at the screen, then at me, then back at the screen. That's not what it looks like. I actually laughed, like a short, hysterical sound. Okay, cool. Walk me through what this does look like then. She crossed her arms. It was a joke. We were messing around. It was just a stupid picture. Nothing happened. Nothing happened, I repeated. You're in a hotel room, with wine, in that dress, with a half-naked guy on the bed behind you, and nothing happened. She doubled down. We were drunk. Everyone was taking stupid pics. It was a joke. You're taking it out of context. Show me the context then, I said. Show me the group photos, the pictures of all your coworkers there, the innocent jokes. Go ahead, I'll wait. Her jaw tightened. I deleted them. Of course she did. When the mask really slipped, I clicked the arrow key and showed her the next photo. Liam kissing her neck, her smiling. Was this a joke too? I asked quietly. She stared at it for a long moment. I could see the gears turning. She was trying to find an angle, an excuse, a half-truth. Finally, she huffed and said, "Okay, fine. We kissed. One time. It didn't mean anything. I was drunk. I was stressed. I made a mistake. Are you happy now?" I felt this weird, cold clarity. "One time?" I said. "You expect me to believe this was one time, when I have multiple pictures from yesterday? Alone, your location history, the Uber, the hotel." She threw her hands up. "Wow, you really went full stalker mode, didn't you? This is insane." "No," I said. "What's insane is you lying straight to my face even now. How long has this been going on?" She hesitated. That half-second pause told me everything. "It's not like that," she said. "It's complicated. Translate complicated into actual words." She rolled her eyes again. I was being unreasonable. "We've hooked up a few times, okay? It was just sex. It doesn't mean I don't love you." I think that was the moment rage finally burned through the numbness. "Just sex," I repeated. "In a hotel you lied about. On nights you told me you were working. While you were making me feel crazy and paranoid. While I was here, cooking dinner and texting you to get home safe." She shrugged, like I'd complained about misplacing a sock. "I didn't tell you because I knew you'd react like this. You're so dramatic." The masterclass in blame. Shifting. I wish I was exaggerating, but here's a rough summary of the next 10 minutes of her excuses. "I've been unhappy for a long time, but you never listened. You changed. You're boring now. All you do is work and play games. I needed excitement. He made me feel alive again. If you'd been more affectionate, maybe I wouldn't have looked somewhere else. I didn't want to hurt you. That's why I didn't tell you. We didn't plan for this to happen. It just did. You're overreacting. Lots of couples go through stuff like this. It was physical, not emotional. That's better, right?" Every sentence was a punch, but not in the way she thought. I just sat there thinking. This woman has rewritten the entire timeline in her head, so she's not the villain. I am. At one point, she actually said with a straight face, "Can't we just move past this? Why do you want to destroy our marriage over a few mistakes?" A few mistakes. Multiple lies. Months of gaslighting. A whole-ass affair. The open marriage bomb. And then came the sudden, insane suggestion that I didn't see coming. She went quiet for a bit, then sat down across from me, doing this fake, soft voice she uses when she wants something. "Listen," she said. Maybe this doesn't have to be a bad thing." I honestly thought she was about to say, "We can go to counseling," or something normal. Instead, she said, "There are couples who are open. They have arrangements. Maybe this is just who I am now. Maybe we could redefine our marriage." I blinked. "You cheated on me and lied for months. And your solution is to ask for an open marriage so you can keep fucking him?" She frowned like I wasn't getting it. "This way, it's honest. No more secrets. You could do your own thing, too. We'd be on equal footing." I just stared at her in disbelief. "No," I said. "I didn't sign up for a redefined marriage. I signed up for a monogamous one. I didn't sneak around. I didn't fuck coworkers in hotels. You did. Don't try to sell this as some enlightened evolution of our relationship." Her face hardened. "Well, if you're going to be rigid and close-minded about this, I don't know what you expect me to do. I'm not going to apologize for wanting to feel desired. That line will live rent-free in my head forever. Not, 'I'm sorry.' Not, 'I regret this.' Not, 'I've hurt you.' Just, 'I'm not going to apologize for wanting to feel desired.'" The breaking point. Something in me just switched off. I looked at her and realized I wasn't talking to the person I thought I married anymore. Or maybe I was, and I just hadn't seen her clearly until now. I said very calmly, "I want you to pack a bag and stay somewhere else for a while." She snapped her head up. "Excuse me?" "You heard me. Go to a friend's place. Go to your precious Liam. Go to a hotel. I don't care. But you're not sleeping here tonight like everything's fine," she scoffed. "This is my home too. You can't just kick me out because your ego's bruised." "My ego," I said quietly. "You didn't just bruise my ego. You nuked my trust. You set it on fire and danced on the ashes. Pack. Bag." We went back and forth for a while. She cried at one point, not from remorse, but from anger that I was overreacting and trying to control her. Eventually, when she realized I was dead serious, she grabbed a suitcase and threw random clothes into it while cursing under her breath. Right before she walked out, she turned to me and said, "You're throwing away our whole life over this. You're going to regret it when you calm down." Then she slammed the door. And just like that, the house was silent. I stood in the middle of the living room, looking at the space where her suitcase had been, and for the first time since this whole mess started, I let myself actually feel everything. The anger, the humiliation, the grief for a marriage that clearly died long before I noticed. When she slammed the door and the house went quiet, I just stood there. You know that weird silence after a loud noise, where your ears ring and everything feels slightly unreal. That was my whole body. I could hear the fridge humming, the clock ticking, my own heartbeat in my ears. This was the first night in almost a decade that I knew my wife wasn't coming home to me. And it wasn't because of a fight about dishes or money or something normal. It was because she'd chosen another man over and over again, and then tried to sell me an open marriage as a solution. The first night alone. I didn't sleep in our bed. I went to the bedroom, looked at the sheets, saw her pillow, and immediately pictured her in that hotel bed with him. It was like my brain had been replaced with a projector I couldn't shut off. I grabbed a blanket and crashed on the couch instead. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her smirking in the mirror while she put on that black dress. Her rolling her eyes and calling me paranoid. Her saying, "I'm not going to apologize for wanting to feel desired." I'd cycle through rage, disbelief, sadness, back to rage again. At some point around 3 a.m., I broke and called Mark. He answered on the second ring, voice groggy. "Yo?" "She was cheating," I said. My voice cracked on the word. He woke up instantly. "What happened?" I told him everything. The hotel, the photos, the confrontation, the open marriage suggestion, the suitcase. He was quiet for a full 10 seconds, then said, "Holy shit, man. I knew something was off, but damn." I laughed, but it came out half sob. "You know what's crazy? I still feel guilty. Like I'm the one who blew up the marriage, because I told her to leave. That's the manipulation talking," he said. "She's been rewiring your brain for months. She lit the house on fire, and you're standing in the ashes going, 'Did I overreact by calling the fire department?'" That line hit me hard. Natsvertand, the hangover without alcohol. The next morning, I woke up on the couch with my neck stiff and my eyes burning. For a few seconds, I had that foggy, something's wrong, but I don't remember what feeling. Then it all hit me again like a truck. Oh. Right. My wife cheated. My marriage is on life support. Cool. Her toothbrush was still in the bathroom, her hair tie on the coffee table, her slippers by the bed. The house was full of her, but empty of her at the same time. I did what any emotionally overwhelmed millennial would do. I made coffee and stared at my phone for 30 minutes. No texts from her. No, I'm sorry. No, can we talk? Nothing. The silence hurt more than I expected. Part of me had still been hoping she'd wake up, realize how badly she'd messed up, and come crawling back with actual remorse. Instead, I got nothing. Nar. The text battle around noon, I caved and texted her. "Where are you staying?" She replied pretty fast. "At a friend's," I asked. "Which friend?" She waited a minute, then, "Why do you need to know?" And there it was again. Deflection. Attitude. Like I was the one being unreasonable. I took a breath and typed, "Because we are married, and you walked out after admitting an affair. I think I'm allowed to ask." She replied, "I'm at Sarah's." "Don't worry, I'm not with precious Liam." Even in text, she managed to be bitchy about it. Then came the classic move. "Have you calmed down yet?" Calmed down. Like I'd thrown a tantrum over the wrong pizza topping. I wrote, "I'm not calming down from your cheating. I'm deciding what my life looks like without you." She immediately went into damage control. "Wow, so you're really going to throw everything away? We can work through this if you stop being stubborn." I stared at that message for a long time. No apology, no ownership. Just, "You're stubborn." I put my phone down and didn't answer. The crash after the anger. The following 2 days were weirdly quiet. The first day was full of adrenaline, cleaning, packing some of her stuff into boxes, making lists in my head. The anger kept me moving. Day 2 and 3? That's when the sadness really hit. I'd open the wardrobe and see the dress she wore on our first anniversary. I'd find an old photo of us at the beach, sunburned and laughing. I'd walk past the drawer where we kept stupid little love notes from years ago. I cried. A lot. Not just for her, for the version of our life I'd been carrying in my head. The future kids I'd imagined. The old people version of us on a porch somewhere talking about remember when. I also cried from humiliation. She'd been talking about me to him, laughing at me while I was at home, thinking she was just stressed, using my kindness and trust as a shield so she could sneak around. There's a special kind of pain in realizing that someone used your love as cover for their betrayal. The sudden message from a stranger. On day 3, something unexpected happened. I was making coffee when my phone buzzed with a WhatsApp notification from an unknown number. "Hi, are you my name?" This is going to sound weird, but please read. My first thought was spam. Then I saw the profile picture. A woman, maybe early 30s. I replied, "Who is this?" A few seconds later, "My name is Emma. I'm Liam's girlfriend." My heart stopped for a second. I sat down. "How did you get my number?" "I found it in his email." I've suspected something for a while. I finally went through his laptop while he was in the shower. I'm sorry to involve you, but I think we both deserve to know the truth. My hands were shaking again. What did you find? She sent a long message. I'll summarize. She'd seen my wife's name in his messages and calendar a lot. He'd told her my wife was just a coworker and a friend from the office. Recently, he'd become more distant, more secretive, very similar story to mine. That morning, she found a folder on his laptop with photos and videos. My wife was in a lot of them. Then she said, I think they've been sleeping together for at least 5 months. Not a few times, regularly. Different hotels, after-work drinks, even one weekend conference trip. My chest felt tight. I asked, can you send me some of it? A few seconds later, my phone lit up with multiple images and a short video. Different hotel rooms, different outfits, same 2 people. One of the dates on the files lined up exactly with the weekend. My wife told me she was going to visit her mom alone because they needed some girl time. She hadn't even been in the same city as her mother that weekend. I felt like throwing up. The final nail in her story. One of the videos was only a few seconds long, but it replayed in my mind for hours. They were in a hotel bed. She was lying on his chest. He was filming. She giggled, reached up to cover the camera and said, "Stop, my husband will kill both of us if he ever finds out." Not, "I can't do this. I'm married." Not, "This is wrong." Just, "Haha, don't get caught on camera. My husband might be mad." The casual way she said it hurt more than the actual cheating somehow, like my existence was just some background detail in their little adventure. Comparing notes with the other betrayed person. Emma and I ended up talking for almost an hour. It was surreal, bonding with a stranger over how the 2 people we loved had been lying to both of us in sync. We compared timelines. The big client pitch nights my wife claimed lined up with the nights he came home late or stayed at the office. The weekend workshop my wife went to, that was their little romantic getaway. He'd told Emma it was a mandatory training. The team Christmas drinks, where she came home drunk and mean. He'd told Emma he crashed at a coworker's place because he was too drunk to drive. Our lives had been running in parallel, mirrored by their lies. At one point, she said, "I'm so sorry. I didn't know she was married. He told me you 2 were basically roommates, emotionally done, just staying together for financial reasons." That hit me like a slap. So that's how my wife had been justifying it to him. I wasn't her husband. I was just the boring guy she lived with. The attempted damage control, again. Right after I finished talking to Emma, my wife texted, "Perfect timing." "We need to talk." I stared at the screen, then replied, "We really do." She suggested meeting at a cafe to talk like adults. I wrote back, "No, come get your stuff." We're past the cafe stage. Instant defensiveness. "So that's it? You're just ending our marriage over one mistake?" I felt a weird little switch flip inside me. A line I'd been standing on finally got crossed. It wasn't one mistake. It was months of lies, hotel rooms, and gaslighting. And now I've spoken to Emma. She responded almost instantly. "Who?" "Liam's girlfriend." There was a long pause. Then, "Wow, so you're really dragging random people into our private business now?" Now, even here, she was more upset about being exposed than about what she'd done. I replied, "You dragged them in when you started an affair with her boyfriend. Come pick up your things. I'll be here until 6. She didn't write back. Grieving, while still furious. That afternoon, I did something weirdly therapeutic. I started taking down photos. Not all of them, just the ones that felt like lies now. The wedding picture where we looked like 2 idiots who truly believed in forever. the framed shot from our honeymoon where she'd written, "To many more adventures" on the back. I put them in a box. It wasn't some dramatic movie moment with sad music. I was wearing sweatpants and an old t-shirt, my hair a mess, my face puffy. I'd pause every few minutes, sit on the floor, and just stare at some random object that suddenly had emotional weight. There was grief, yeah, but under the grief was something else growing, a sense of clarity. Every time I remembered her calling me paranoid, dramatic, controlling, it was like a new piece of armor forming. Every time I thought, maybe I'm being too harsh, my brain would replay that video of her saying, "My husband will kill both of us if he ever finds out," while laughing. By the time the clock hit 6 p.m., I felt not okay, but less broken. More like someone who's been hit by a car, but is now sitting up, looking at the wreck and thinking, all right, what now? Now for a new thought. Maybe I deserve better that night. For the first time since everything blew up, a small, quiet thought slipped in. Maybe I don't want to fix this. Up until then, even through all the anger, there'd still been this underlying assumption. We'll either work on it, or I'll forgive her eventually. But after talking to Emma, after seeing how long this had gone on, after watching my wife stubbornly refuse to own what she'd done, I started to realize something. I didn't want a wife I had to police forever. I didn't want to be the guy who stayed with someone who thought an open marriage pitch was an apology. I didn't want to share my life with someone who could lie that easily, that often, and then blame me for reacting. I wanted peace. I wanted honesty. I wanted to walk into my own home and not wonder if my spouse was laughing about me with some side piece. That small thought, maybe I deserve better, is what started shifting me out of pure heartbreak and into something like acceptance. Not full acceptance yet, but the early version of it. And that's where part 4 ends. The days after the explosion, the stranger's message that confirmed everything, and the first hint that may be the real decision ahead of me. A couple of days after that last text exchange, she finally showed up. No warning. No, hey, I'm on my way. Just the sound of a key turning in the lock, like it was any normal day, and not the aftermath of a nuclear-level betrayal. The awkward return. I was in the living room, laptop open, pretending to work. The second I heard the door, my whole body tensed up. She walked in wearing leggings, an oversized hoodie, hair in a ponytail. No dramatic entrance, no tears. Just casual. Like she'd come back from a weekend away with friends, not from blowing up our marriage. Her eyes scanned the room and landed on the half-empty wall where some of our pictures used to be. She froze. "So that's how it is," she said. "No, hi. No, can we talk? Just that." I took a breath. "That's how it is," I said. She dropped her bag on the floor. "You're being really childish, you know? Taking down pictures, packing my stuff in boxes. What is this? Some dramatic movie scene you're putting on for yourself?" I just shrugged. It's me accepting reality. The last round of excuses. She walked past me into the kitchen, opened the fridge, looked inside like she still lived there, then turned to face me. "So what?" she said. "You've made up your mind? No discussion? No counseling? You're just done?" I looked at her for a long moment. "Okay," I said. "Let's discuss. What exactly are we discussing? You cheated on me for months. You lied to my face repeatedly. You tried to convince me I was crazy when I suspected anything. You only admitted to the bare minimum when I showed you proof. And your big idea to fix it was to ask for an open marriage so you wouldn't have to stop. What part of that do you think we can build a future on?" She rolled her eyes so hard I thought they'd get stuck. "You're so dramatic. People make mistakes. Marriages survive affairs all the time. Agua." Was it a mistake, I asked, when you packed a bag for the weekend and told me you were going to your mom's, but actually went to a hotel with him? She stiffened. So you really talked to her, she said. That psycho girlfriend of his. Her name is Emma, I said. She's not a psycho. She's just another person you helped lie to. She scoffed. Of course she made me out to be the villain. You know nothing about what's actually going on between us. That phrasing stuck out to me. Between you, I repeated. You're talking about the relationship with Liam like it's the real one. And this, I gestured around the house, at us, is the side thing. She didn't deny it. I never meant to hurt you. At some point, she did switch into sad mode. Maybe she realized the sarcasm wasn't landing. Her voice softened. Look, she said, sitting down across from me. I never meant to hurt you. I swear that line is like the default script of every cheater on earth. You did hurt me, I said. On purpose. Repeatedly. Every time you looked me in the eye and lied, that was a choice. Every time you rolled over in bed and turned away from me after coming home from fucking him, that was a choice. She flinched at the bluntness. It wasn't like that, she muttered. It was exactly like that. She sighed, eyes glistening a bit now, but still no full apology. I was unhappy, she said. You'd stopped trying. You never wanted to go out. You always said you were tired. Liam made me feel seen, wanted, excited. I felt alive again. I let her talk. And what? I asked when she paused. Did I feel while you were busy feeling alive? She bit her lip, then said, I thought if I kept it separate, I could have both. The stability with you, the excitement with him. I didn't think you'd ever find out. That was it. That sentence. That tiny, selfish confession. Not, I knew it was wrong and I hated myself for it. Not, I tried to stop. Just, I thought I could keep you both. I didn't think you'd find out. And suddenly, everything became crystal clear. The actual decision I realized, sitting there across from her, that I wasn't deciding whether I still loved her. I did, in some way. Or maybe I loved the version of her I thought she was. What I was really deciding was whether love was enough to live with this level of disrespect. And the answer, finally, was no. So I said it. I'm filing for divorce. Her head snapped up like I'd slapped her. What? I'm filing, I repeated. I've already looked up lawyers. I don't want to be married to you anymore. The shock on her face slowly morphed into anger. You're seriously going to nuke our entire life over this? You already nuked it, I said. I'm just getting out of the fallout zone. She shook her head. You're being so black and white about this. No one's perfect. You've never made mistakes. I've made plenty of mistakes, I said. Cheating on my spouse, lying for months, and then turning it into a sales pitch for an open marriage isn't one of them. She was quiet for a few seconds. Then, like clockwork, she went for the low blows. The character assassination attempt. You know what? She snapped. Maybe this is for the best. Maybe now I can actually be with someone who doesn't bore me to death. Someone who's not glued to his computer. Someone who doesn't act like a victim all the time. I just looked at her. You know what's wild? I said. That doesn't even hurt the way you think it does. Because if that's genuinely how you see me, then you should go. Truly. Go be with someone you don't secretly resent. She smirked. Don't worry, I will. There it was. The truth, slipping out between the spite. This wasn't a woman who'd made one stupid mistake and regretted it. This was someone who already had one foot out of the marriage, emotionally, long before I saw the signs. I think she'd been waiting for an excuse or a push. I just finally gave it to her. Drawing lines, I stood up. Your clothes are in those boxes, I said. Personal stuff in the small one. I left your sentimental things out in case you want to sort through them yourself. I'm not throwing anything away yet. But I am changing the locks tomorrow." She raised her eyebrows. "You don't trust me now?" she asked, dripping sarcasm. I looked at her. "No," I said. "I don't." That finally shut her up for a moment. She packed quietly for a bit, moving around the house like a ghost. Every so often, she'd stop and look at something our wedding photo box, the mug she bought me on our second anniversary, the bookshelf we built together. It hit me then that she was losing something, too. Not in the same way, not from the same side of the explosion, but still losing it. And for a second, I almost softened. Then I remembered Emma's voice on the phone, the video, the hotel timeline, the way my wife had laughed about me on camera, and the softness evaporated. One I'm full put off one quas right when she was about to leave, suitcase by the door. She turned to me and said, "Are you sure? This is your last chance to not make a huge mistake." I stared at her in disbelief. "My mistake," I repeated. "Yes," she said. "People recover from this kind of thing all the time. You're choosing to blow it up permanently. You could forgive me. We could start over. You're the one making this final." That's when I realized, in her mind, she genuinely believed we shared the blame equally now. That my refusal to forgive her made me just as bad as her decision to cheat. I took a slow breath and said, "Let me be really clear, so I don't second-guess this later. I would rather be alone than spend the rest of my life with someone who talks about me the way you talked about me to him. I would rather start from zero than live with someone who could watch me slowly go insane from suspicion and feed that instead of stopping. I won't ever be able to look at you and not see that hotel room. I don't want to live like that. And I don't want you to either, if you're just going to resent me for not being Liam." She rolled her eyes one last time, grabbed her suitcase, and said, "You're going to regret this." Then she left. No dramatic crying in the rain, no running back for one last hug, nothing. Just the click of the lock and the sound of her suitcase wheels on the sidewalk. That was the last time she walked out of this place as my wife. The resolution, on my terms. After she left, I did 3 things. 1. Called a lawyer. I scheduled an appointment and started the actual process. Not hypothetical, not maybe. Real papers, real steps. 2. Told my closest people the truth. I told my parents. I told Mark. I told my sister. I didn't give them every humiliating detail, but I told them enough that they understood this wasn't a "we just grew apart" breakup. I didn't want her rewriting the narrative to make me look like the unstable one. 3. Set boundaries. I told her, by text, that any future communication needed to be about logistics, divorce, finances, the apartment. No late-night emotional calls. No "I miss you" texts. No half-hearted friendship offers. She could talk to her therapist, her friends, or her boyfriend about her feelings. Not me. And yeah, it hurt. Signing the initial paperwork hurt. Hearing the word separation out loud hurt. Putting single on forms, again, will probably hurt. But you know what also hurt? Sleeping next to someone who was living a double life. Questioning my own sanity because she was so good at flipping everything back onto me. Living in a constant state of low-level anxiety, wondering if my partner was actually where she said she was. I chose a different pain. The pain that comes with ripping out a rotten tooth so the rest of the mouth can heal. Looking back, that was the night I really made the decision and stuck to it. Not in theory, not in rage, but in that calm, exhausted way, where you know you've reached the end of something and there's no going back. So, fast forward a bit. The papers are in motion. We're in that weird limbo where we're technically still married on paper, but practically, we're 2 separate people with a shared past and some legal housekeeping left. It's not clean, it's not pretty, It's not some "I'm healed now, thanks for reading" story. But I'm in a better place than I was the night I stared at those hotel photos and felt my world implode. Where I am now, a few random snapshots of my life at the moment. I sleep better. Not every night, but most. The couch has been retired. I sleep in the bed again. Not our bed, just mine. The house feels emptier, but also calmer. There's no tension buzzing under the surface anymore. No waiting for a key in the lock at midnight. No dread every time someone texts my spouse. I still get hit by grief waves. At the grocery store when I see her favorite snack. When a song comes on that we used to joke about. When I pass the restaurant where we had our first date. It comes and goes. I'm in therapy now. Best decision I've made in this entire mess, honestly. Having someone calmly untangle the knots in my brain has been huge. I've started doing small things just for me again. Going to the gym, gaming with friends without feeling guilty, cooking decent meals for one instead of whatever's easiest. Am I over it? No. But I'm no longer stuck in that loop of, what if I'm crazy? What if I drove her to this? What if I could fix it? I know what happened. I know what I did and didn't do. And more importantly, I know what I deserve going forward. Things I've learned the hard way. If you're on this sub because you're suspicious, scared, or already in the middle of something similar, here's what I wish someone had hammered into my skull earlier. 1. Your gut is not stupid. I gaslit myself for months. She's just stressed. New job, new routine. It's normal. Maybe I am being paranoid. I don't want to be that controlling husband. If your partner suddenly guards their phone like it's a state secret, starts staying late constantly with vague explanations, flips every reasonable question into "you're crazy," controlling, paranoid, becomes mean, distant, and annoyed just by your existence. You're not insane for noticing. You're not making problems. You're picking up on a reality they don't want you to see. Is it always cheating? No, but something is off, and you're allowed to honor that feeling instead of shoving it down because you want to be chill. 2. Cheating isn't just the physical act. Yeah, the hotel stuff sucked. The pictures sucked. The video sucked. But what really broke me wasn't just sex. It was the 1 month of lying. The way she made me doubt my own perception. The fake fights she created to justify distancing herself. The way she made me feel like I was insecure and needy for noticing her behavior. Cheating is not a single event. It's a whole campaign of deceit and disrespect that runs parallel to whatever fantasy life they're living on the side. 3. If their first response is defensiveness, not remorse, believe that. When confronted with location history, Uber receipts, hotel selfies, videos, her responses were, in order, "You're spying on me." That's not what it looks like. We just kissed once. It didn't mean anything. You made me unhappy. Let's try an open marriage. You're overreacting. At no point did she say anything like, "I'm so sorry. I know I hurt you. This is my fault. How can I make this right?" If the person who hurt you won't even stand still long enough to admit what they did without blaming you, there is no solid ground to rebuild on. You cannot fix something with someone who is still busy rewriting the script to make themselves the victim. 4. You don't have to stay to be forgiving or mature. I really struggled with this. There's this unspoken pressure that strong couples work through anything. And if you leave, you're somehow weak or petty or throwing it all away. Here's what I landed on. I can forgive her eventually, for my own peace. That doesn't mean I have to keep her in my life. choosing not to be with someone who lied for months, laughed about you behind your back, betrayed your trust repeatedly, doesn't mean you're bitter. It means you have boundaries. Leaving is not childish. Leaving is not dramatic. Leaving is sometimes the most adult, calm, self-respecting thing you can do. 5. Being alone is scary, but it's also weirdly peaceful. Yeah, the idea of starting over in my 30s sucks. Yeah, the silence in the house was brutal at first. But you know what no longer lives rent-free in my brain? Who is she texting? Is she really where she says she is? Am I crazy, or did she just lie again? What's wrong with me that she doesn't want me? I still feel lonely sometimes. I still miss having a person in the house. But I don't miss walking on eggshells. I don't miss feeling crazy. I don't miss sleeping next to someone I couldn't trust. I can work with loneliness. I can fill that with friends, hobbies, therapy, eventually maybe someone new. You can't patch over a relationship where basic respect is gone. Advice to anyone who's in the middle of this hell. If you're reading this, and you're where I was months ago, staring at your partner's flipped-over phone, being told you're paranoid, here's what I'd tell you as if you were my friend. 1. Document reality. Not to obsess, not to stalk, but to stop gaslighting yourself. If you find proof, you're not snooping, you're confirming what your nervous system already knows. 2. Talk to someone who isn't them. A friend, a therapist, even a stranger on Reddit. Say things out loud. You'll be surprised how different it sounds when you're not editing it in your head to make them look better. 3. Watch their reaction when you express hurt. Do they minimize it? Do they flip it back on you? Do they act annoyed you even brought it up? Or do they listen and try to actually understand? 4. Understand that their cheating is not your fault. Could you have been a better partner in some ways? Probably. Most of us could. But they had 1,000 options besides betrayal, therapy, conversations, separation, divorce. They chose lying. That's on them. 5. Know that leaving is a valid choice. Some people manage to rebuild after infidelity. Others don't. Both outcomes are okay. But don't stay just because you're afraid of starting over, or because they convinced you that no one else will want you. That's manipulation talking, not truth. What I've actually gained from this, besides trauma. Weirdly, underneath all the pain, there are a few things I'm grateful for. I now know what I will never tolerate again. In a relationship, the bar for basic honesty is no longer in hell. I value my own sanity more than the appearance of a stable marriage. I'm done choosing looking fine from the outside over actually being okay on the inside. I'm rebuilding myself not as her husband, but as just me. And that's uncomfortable, but it's also kind of freeing. If I ever get into another relationship, I'll go in with my eyes more open, my boundaries clearer, and my self-worth not so tied to whether someone else chooses me. Nor first, final reflection. If there's a moral to this mess, it's this. You can't love someone into being honest. You can't be understanding enough or low maintenance enough or chill enough to stop someone who's already decided your trust is something they can spend freely. What you can do is decide what happens once you see the truth. I chose to walk away. It hurt like hell. It still does some days. But every day that passes, the pain feels a little less like a fresh wound and a little more like a scar. Something that will always be there, but no longer bleeding. So if you're sitting there wondering if you're crazy, if you're overreacting, if you're asking for too much by wanting honesty and respect from your partner, you're not. You're not asking for too much. You're asking the wrong person. and you deserve better than that.